Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Life is Live panel in support of World Mental Health Day. Today, on World Mental Health Day, we come together to explore how the music and festival industry can be a force of well-being, helping young people and creative communities find balance, connection, and resilience in an increasingly fast-paced world.
We're also celebrating the success of the Life is Live campaign, a collaboration between Exit, UNICEF, and Europe, which showed how festivals can move from entertainment to empowerment. So before we kick off, Jenny and I just wanted to quickly go around our virtual discussion room here and ask everyone to introduce themselves very briefly, just say a couple of words about who they are and why they're here today. So in no particular order, I'm looking at the lovely lineup of everyone that we have here, and I'm going to pick Monica first.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Monica Urian, and I work in the European Commission in Brussels, in the Director General for Education, Youth, and Sport and Culture. And I have the pleasure of leading the file on culture and health in this context.
Super. Thank you very much. Sam, I'm going to come to you next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Super important conversations happening today, so I'm really honoured to be a part of it. My name's Sam Devine. I'm from the UK. I'm a DJ, producer, own my own record label, and I'm a radio host.
Thank you. Holger.
Hi there, I'm Holger Schmidt. I'm General Secretary for Europe, the European Festival Association, which Exit is a very long time member of. I work on several projects of our association, which represents more than 130 festivals from all over Europe. And mental health is a very dear topic to me personally because I had my own issues and even wrote a book about it.
Thank you very much. Stanislava.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stanislava Vučković. I'm a psychologist by profession. I'm working with UNICEF country office in Belgrade, Serbia. I'm so happy to be here and I'm honored. Thank you for inviting me. I'm working as a youth and adolescent development specialist, and mental health and well-being is one of the most impactful areas of our work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dušan.
Hello, I'm Dušan Kovačević, co-founder of Exit Festival Group, and here to speak about our Life is Life campaign that together with UNICEF and Europe want to take a stand award this year.
Super. Thank you very much. Before I hand back to Jenny, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Greg Parmley. I'm the Managing Director of the International Live Music Conference in London and IQ Magazine. And for us, mental health has been a kind of a key program and something that we've both written about, covered, championed, and programmed sessions about for a long time now and supported. So really happy to be here. Jenny, over to you.
I suppose I should introduce myself. My name is Jenny Cochrane. I've worked with the Exit Festival Group as a booker for, well, almost 15 years now. And I also have my own mental wellness business where we run a 24-hour wellbeing festival in London each year. And we work with organisations to support programmes in the workplace to help people avoid burnout and understand how to live their life in balance. So it's a real great pleasure for me to be supporting with this great conversation today and meeting all of you wonderful people. So thanks for the intros, Greg. I would really like to kind of start the conversation off today, and I'm going to go around the room and again ask each of you individually. I just want to understand really, what does mental health in today's world mean to you? Holger, I'm going to ask you first.
Basically, when we were warming up for this session, we were talking about our families and our kids. So at the moment, that is my main concern, that I have all the power that I can do my job and at the same time be there for my my family at the same time, and I find that already challenging a lot. And I've been working on mental health for almost 10 years now, and I haven't been before. It just started when I realized that I had some issues at some point. And I think that is something that can happen to everybody nowadays or in the future and whatever. And I think what we need to do is what we had to do back then, is get it out of its dark corner, tell people that it's normal, support them, make sure that people, companies, responsible people build environments in which the people can, the employees, the teams can thrive, the audience feels safe, the artists feel safe, etc. So basically, that is what comes to my mind if you drop the keyword.
Amazing. Thanks, Holger. That's amazing. Sam, how about yourself?
So just echoing kind of what Holger said there as well. For me, I actually had a really big burnout in 2020 when everything shut down, and there wasn't any help for me whatsoever. You know, I'd suffered with mental health problems myself for numerous years, had numerous burnouts, but when it actually came to that, I didn't know what to do, and there wasn't any support there for me. So I actually signed up for a mental health awareness course, and that was really, really healing for me, because I was just ticking boxes. I was like, okay, this is me, this is me. And I was in the middle of my burnout when I was doing that mental health first aid course. And from that, I knew coming out of 2020 that mental health problems was going to be a lot more talked about than it was. You know, my mum suffered with mental health all of her life from since I was a young child. So I kind of knew a little bit about it. But when you go through it yourself, it was a very confusing and dark and lonely time. And actually doing that first aid course sparked a lot more open conversations with my friends, because then I started recognizing it in other people and close people around me and people online as well, part of my community. So I just think it's so fantastic that we're actually holding this safe space to talk about mental health, because as much as, you know, I feel like it's a huge pandemic in the world right now, it's really great to have these conversations and break down that stigma that people should reach out and talk. And I don't think that it's spoken about enough for someone that went through it myself.
Yeah, and it's great to have role models like you who are out there educating young people as well. So it's amazing. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Monica, how about yourself?
Very inspiring to hear all people in the panel. I mean, for me, it's about making sure that my life journey is, of course, sinuous like everybody else's, but it goes in what I consider to be the right direction. Mental health is something that is the background on which I can build projects and support others as well. And this, despite of all the pressures in my professional and private life, and also, of course, of sometimes the gloomy contemporary events in the world. So in this, arts and culture have an essential role to play for me since I was a child, because I've always been an avid participant in all kinds of artistic activities, and both as a receptor and as a more active participant. So yes, very glad to be on this panel also from this more personal point of view. Thanks.
Thank you so much. How about you, Dušan?
So speaking about that subject now, I think two things that drops in my mind. We can talk about it for hours, of course, but just 2 points. First, Sam mentioned pandemic, so it's interesting how collectively we forgot during that time that mental health is also health, which was totally disregarded in all the debates about the health, and also. Secondly, usually we speak about mental health of individuals, but what I'm mostly concerned is mental health of our civilization. And with the environmental destruction, with all the wars and everything that is happening in the world, there is definitely some dysfunctionalities in how we operate our lives, how we interact with the nature, with basically each other. So I think that mental health, both of individuals and the collective, is one of the most important topics of today.
Amazing, thank you. Last but not least, Stanislava, how about yourself?
Thank you for your question. For me, mental health is part of my everyday work, but also part of my identity, professional identity, part of my everyday life. And this is, for me, everyday work to help adolescents and children to be recognized, to be prioritized by government, to be heard by their parents, by their peers. I'd like to contribute to the world where every child can receive support, when every teacher, where every teacher can offer mental health first aid support. I would like to contribute to the world where emergencies and mental health is treated with due respect. So today, while we are celebrating International World Mental Health Day, I'd like to make collaboration with all of you to this and to unite for this message to prioritize adolescent and youth mental health within broader public health agenda. Our job, our work is to support decision makers, to fund policies, to support other partners as you, Music Festival, and others, to talk about these issues, to remove stigma, to remove barriers, and to enable all to speak freely about problems and to ask for help and to receive better help through better community services. So it's big, yeah.
Big but amazing, and that's truly incredible. It really is, and it's exactly why we're here today. So I'd like to ask Sam. I'm going to hand over to you. So as an artist, you're constantly on tour, you're performing at festivals. I mean, what are the biggest mental health challenges that you see, not just with yourself, but among other artists and young people in the space? And how do you personally manage your own well-being?
Good question. I mean, it's taken me a really long time to kind of get here and have balance and to give myself space and time to have self-care. As I said at the top of this conversation, I have had many burnouts throughout my 25-year career, and the recovery from them gets longer and longer, and the burnouts kind of get worse. And I worry about this in the industry with young, up and coming, emerging talent coming through, because we live in a world now where it's all about numbers. It's all about, how we look online. And with that comes enormous pressures of always trying to be the best version of ourselves. I mean, I'm 9 months clean and sober now, and that has brought so much clarity and so much peace into my life. And from someone who suffered quite a lot throughout those years of, traveling on your own, the late nights, the early mornings, drinking, partying, all of those things. It played a really detrimental part of my life. And being sober now it's just flipped a switch. My life is day and night now. I'm making sure that I'm getting rested. I'm making sure, prioritizing my wellness, which is so important to me. I didn't care before, I just get to the next gig, just get to the next gig. And one thing that's really highlighted is there isn't much wellness in the music industry. You know, for someone now, I have a sober rider. Not every promoter supplies that sobriety. You know, I'm asking for ginger shots and some smoothies and some electrolytes, you know, and it's crazy how I go out now sober in a nightclub and there's no wellness drinks, or it's just literally water or fizzy drinks. And it's really, really highlighted that. So I'm not surprised that, you know, a lot of people go out every weekend and they just drink because they don't have any other options. And I'm also a firm believer that if you drink regularly, it will affect your mental health. It did me personally. I know everyone's different. So yeah, sorry, I went off piste a little bit there. But it's just, yeah, sobriety in the music industry is really hard. But there's one thing that I can say is that I haven't had any mental health issues, if you like, since I've been sober. You know, way more positive outlook on things. I can recognize other people's mental health problems a little bit more now. And I just think there needs to be more done in the music industry for sober, curious people, and for sober artists as well, so that we can be the best version. And I think we need to have those conversations now for younger artists coming up, because there's just so much pressure to be the best, to look the best, to play the best. And actually wellness comes last in that priority list.
Yeah, I think you've proved that you can go on that sober journey and you can be even more successful than you were before, because I've been watching your journey these last months and it's incredible to see. It really is. And again, back to that point about you being that role model for the next generation and the younger people out there. It's great.
Yeah, thank you.
So just to follow up, I mean, how have you seen the sort of the openness within the electronic communities to talk about mental health change over time? And also, I'm just kind of curious what sort of resources you found that you might want to highlight as well of that have been helpful.
Well, what's been helpful for me is just having a really good team around me. You know, it was actually my agent who got me into got me a life coach in 2020, and I kind of got sober in the pandemic. And coming out of that, it's definitely challenging. You know, I've just done a piece now with DJ Mag, and the fact that they want to talk about sober artists, or sobriety in the music industry, because there's not a lot out there, not that I've found personally, because I've just been on this recovery journey myself. You know, I've seen so many artists have public burnouts and crashes on social media. You know, they kind of go away, but the positive thing is that they come back stronger because, you know, they're going away to work on themselves. I think it's, you know, it's a very personal journey that you go on in sobriety. But it's definitely, I don't feel like it's talked about enough. And I also don't think promoters or bookers support sober DJs as well. As I said, I've had those challenges where, you know, I don't have much on my sober rider, but that's what keeps me safe in the nightclub environment. And there's always three or four things missing off that. And I just actually had a conversation with my advancing team before, and they told me that a lot of promoters and artist liaison kick back on a sober rider, which is crazy. And that's really scary, because if there's young people that want to come through, that partying isn't their thing, you know, because it's so widely available to us, they're not getting the support that they need as well.
Yeah, there's panic if you can't find a certain kind of champagne.
Yeah, exactly. They can put Dom Perignon on my rider, but they can't find me some ginger shots. It's crazy.
I was going to say as well, I mean, if you look at I mean, from a kind of financial point of view, in terms of the business, the number of high-profile tours that have cancelled in the last 2 years, with artists kind of claiming that their mental health is a really big factor in that.
Yeah,
these are tours that are on sale, that have been promoted. You know, I mean, actually, in the cancellation of those through those artists not having the right level of support is really quite substantial. So I think there's a really strong argument, you know, for mental health to be taken way more seriously at a much earlier point, before it becomes kind of, you know, before anyone's in kind of crisis mode or just feels that they can't cope. Anyway, so Jenny, back to you.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. We need to learn from the impact of the past, what's happened to artists who are no longer with us. So Sam, it's great that artists like you are really taking the lead here, and long may it continue with others in behind you. Monica, I mean the EU, you've placed an increasing emphasis on mental health as a cross-sectoral issue. You're connecting culture, education, and youth culture. How does the Commission see the role of festivals, the creative industries, and I guess the culture in general in advancing these goals?
Well, we are really in a huge momentum. We are experiencing this momentum right now in this sector, which is quite new for us. I mean, I've been working in culture policy since 2007, and so it's the first time when I see mainstreaming, which we usually do with all other sectors, with education, with research, with regional development, etc., coming into the health sector. It's like really the last frontier, if you want, and it took a while because in the international scene, this was also a message that was not quite accepted until a few years ago. And I think the milestone was the 2019 World Health Organization study or scoping review, which clearly showed how scientific research is proving the benefits of arts and culture participation for health and particularly for mental health. There is so much evidence about this. And then with the pandemic, of course, all this accelerated a little bit in the Commission and in our Director General, and we have started with another project which we call a preparatory action, culture for health, where we had again more research and pilot projects, etc. Some of them were related to music, of course, but we covered all the range of cultural sectors. For example, music for motherhood. It's a model that has been implemented again with our partners WHO in Romania and Denmark, which is helping mothers with what we call baby blues. Through collective singing to reconnect with their baby and overcome this very difficult part of their life. But there are a myriad of different models that are piloted right now, not only in the EU, of course, but also in the world, from which we can learn a lot as Europeans, of course. So I would say there is a momentum because the research is there, and there are more and more people also from the medicine field or the public health field who are interested in this topic. But also the cultural sector is very interested because the contribution to people's mental health and well-being is something that a lot of artists, including young artists, are very interested in. It's part of their mission, of their vision on how they contribute to society and how they can also explain to society why what they bring to the world. So there are a lot of challenges, of course, and a lot of opportunities as well. Just to say that I just came back from Mondia Kult. So this is the World Conference on Culture Policies that UNESCO organizes normally every 4 years, and it took place in Barcelona. It was wonderful to see, how people were interested in this topic. We launched on this occasion the report of the expert group of the member states called Culture and Health, Time to Act. And our commissioner, Glenn Mikalev, launched it together with the Spanish Minister for Culture and with representatives of UNESCO, WHO, and civil society. And there was a huge interest in this. And this report is the member states' message to the EU, but also to the national, regional, and local authorities, saying, look, participation in culture, including, of course, in music, is a health behavior. So just like sport activity started to be recognized maybe 30 years ago, 30 or 40 years ago, now we have to think about culture because this is really the new behavior that has not been credited enough so far as contributor to health and particularly to mental health. So the evidence is there. Now we need more policy making, of course, and that's a little bit my role to give impulse to the recommendations from this report, at working with other Commission colleagues, and also continuing to work, of course, with the member states and with international organizations. So the partnership with the WHO is very promising, and also with UNESCO. In fact, in the Mondial Declaration, you will see for the first time the reference between culture and well-being, linked to their SDG 3, health and well-being for all. And but there is an enormous work ahead. So we need more funding, we need more research, we need more cross-sectoral collaboration. And in this sense, the music sector contributes a lot. I'm talking now here from the perspective of what artists and musicians, how they contribute to the health and well-being of individuals, communities, and the society as a whole. Of course, the other angle that you have talked until now is how we should take care collectively of the mental health of artists and creatives, which are two topics that intermingle, but they also deserve to be analyzed separately. And on that, maybe you remember that we published in my Director General EAC this study on the health of musicians and music creators a little bit more than 2 years ago, where some of the issues that Sam has brought up came very clearly. And also, of course, with that comes the need for more support and all kinds of different mechanisms that we could implement at the EU level and, of course, at the national level. And among that, the awareness raising is very important among, musicians themselves, because I think voices like this are needed to bring a personal story and to prevent a lot of phenomena like burnout that are preventable if you have a little bit more training on that, including for example, in schools and in music conservatories and so on. So I don't know. I tried to cover a little bit a broad field, but I can come back with more examples. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Monica. I mean, just on the, I wanted to quickly actually flag, I think you're absolutely right that we're talking about kind of almost two very different topics here, actually, in terms of, the creators themselves and then the power of music on mental health. I mean, there are certainly within the music industry, there have been some really great publications recently that have come out. One that I wanted to just flag in case anyone listening might find it useful is called Touring and Mental Health, the Music Industry Manual. It's edited by Tamsin Embleton. And it's a huge book, absolutely fantastic. And it's been written by lots of different practitioners across the sort of music business / mental health space. So I wanted to kind of quickly give that a plug. I have no involvement in the book other than that. I think it's great. And then Monica, just to come back to you, I was just wondering if on the Culture and Health Time to Act report, are there kind of maybe kind of 2 or 3 key takeaways that you could mention?
Well, we definitely need both at European and at national level frameworks of collaboration, what we call strategies, clearly, of culture and health. Collaboration between these two sectors, as I said, it's not maybe organic from the start, although, of course, from the history of humankind, we were defined by music, dance, and rock paintings, etc. But somehow, throughout the centuries, this connection, especially in policy making, got lost. So we have to reconnect and retranslate each other's language. Like WHO says, cultural activities are important in the prevention of disease, promotion of good behaviors, treatment and management of disease. So we have to learn a little bit these languages of the other sector, while clearly having in mind that we do not want to instrumentalize, artists, creatives, and to sort of use cultural sectors to solve yet another societal problem, just like we sometimes hear about, the contribution of cultural and creative sectors to other challenges that we are facing. So it should be beneficial for both sectors. That's why a common strategy, that's what the member states experts say, a common strategy is needed, or some sort of framework. And in fact, we do have examples I know the culture minister of Spain, Ernesto Urtasun, said that they are working on a legal framework to connect these sectors so that it becomes a systematic cooperation. Because right now, in many countries, it's like bits and pieces here and there, experiments, pilots that work very well, but then there is no scaling up at a higher level, which is really what we need. In France, for example, since 1999, the cultural ministry and the health ministry have had a very close collaboration, and they have framework very clearly defined. Working on, for example, culture and prescription models is, of course, very, very interesting. I know about this type of projects with museums, but also, of course, in music, and creating frameworks of collaboration between different institutions. For example, in terms of music, we had a pilot project where the conservatory in Aarhus is going to intensive care units in the hospital in Aarhus to support really patients with their recovery, which is an amazing thing. But also the need to integrate more in the curricula of universities, particularly in medicine universities, courses on music. And there is an example in Portugal, in Porto, there is a course called Medicine, Music and Mind. I mean, who wouldn't like to follow such a course? I would like to register tomorrow if possible, because it's important to also to work with future doctors and in general all types of professions involved in care. It can also be applied to social care, to integration of refugees, to people working with the elderly, etc., etc. So we have to enlarge a little bit. It's not only health; it's also connected sectors. But all these future professionals need to understand from their direct experience what music can bring, and more largely, cultural participation. Because this cultural participation is a health behavior. So investment in cultural participation is investment in health.
That's super interesting. So I think Sam, you heard it here first. Your music may actually be prescribed shortly for people that want to have kind of better health and well-being. There you go.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Amazing. I think we'd like to take it back to have a little look at the wonderful award-winning Life is Live campaign, which Exit recently ran. Dušan, Exit, mental health is one of the core pillars of the Exit business. What inspired you to start Life is Live? How did you evolve it from an idea into which then became a recognized European award-winning campaign? I'd like to hand the mic over to you really to tell us all about it.
Thank you, Jenny. So for us, we are a different being in the music and festival scene, because a lot of promoters came from, doing bars or doing different kind of. There are, of course, many different stories how people came into the festival business. But Exit started as a youth student movement for peace and freedom in Serbia and Balkans back in 25 years ago against Slobodan Milošević. And being that for us, music was always a tool for positive change. So we were never, since the beginning, we didn't do concert just to have fun. Of course, we did it to have fun as well. That's a part of it. But the main point was to make a positive change. That is in our DNA. And after the democratic changes happened in Serbia 25 years ago, we continued. And parallel with our festival, there was a foundation that did hundreds of different projects throughout the years in many different sectors, from environment to peace, and to not to count them now, but mental health is definitely important part of what we do, especially during the pandemic. To be honest, I was really annoyed that mental health was not perceived as important as it should be, and how devastating it was for so many, especially young people. And for us, in our organization, we have mental health specialists for, I think, more than 10 years now. And it's a very important part of what we do. For instance, when I was listening for what Sam was speaking about promoters not accepting sober riders, maybe it's my mental health issue that I got angry, but I got angry. And that is so easy to solve. Just at this panel, we have enough power to solve this, So Holger, Europe, Exit, Greg with IQ article, and we can just make a thing out of it. So sober riders make a brand out of it, and the promoters who doesn't accept sober riders are blacklisted, basically, and that's it. We have also management as part of supporting young artists as part of what we do. And we have two very young artists that we are supporting. And for us, it's very important that both of them are not drinking, not taking drugs, and they are very serious about it. Seeing music as a sport, and really passionate about it, and we really want to make a thing out of it, and to promote it, and to maybe Sam will support them. And this is something that with positive examples of young kids, and Monica said that it's two stories. It is two stories: the support of mental health of the artist and support of mental health of the general youth. But it's very connected. And if we can create success stories out of these young artists who are following this right path, then this will have major influence on millions of young people. And that is the basically role and the power that music festivals can have. And for the Life is Live campaign, I think it was some 4 years ago. It was before these no phone parties now. I realized how much I spent time on phone. And back then I was not even having any socials. So I was not spending time just for the work, basically. But I understood how much I'm glued on the screen, and I hated it. And then I realized that basically most of the humanity is addicted to screens. And back then, speaking with people in that, people didn't want to accept it. They were saying, "Oh, are you against the modernization, digitalization?" I said, "No, of course, we are totally pro that, but we need to understand that there is a problem." And if we who grew up without the phones, when I was a teenager, there was no phones yet. So if have this issue, just imagine the kids that, when they were 2, parents gave them phone for them not to cry. Just imagine how big of the problem they have. And I have 3 small kids, and I can see even because I'm technically very know a lot about it. I knew with the VR coming and everything now it's happening with AI that things will get exponentially worse as it does. So that is how we started the Life is Live campaign. Basically wanted to promote the live experience for people. It's very tragic that for young kids now, we are discovering them the beauty of the live experience. Because also now in the festival world, there is a lot of talk about the change of the biggest change of the generation's behavior that we ever faced. We are 25 years in business. So every 5 years, there is some generation change. But this generation change is bigger than anything we ever seen. So for so many people, it's more important to have a video from the event than to have an experience from the event. And that is tragic. This is like, it's like pandemic. And this is something that we need to understand, to address, and to do something about it. So we spoke with the UNICEF. They supported us. We created the campaign. Europe supported us as well. And thanks for the awarding it with the Take a Stand award this year. So this is something that we are very passionate about. And of course, this is mental health is much wider topic than just the digital addiction. But I would say that digital addiction is, especially among youth, is among all topics, probably the most important one. And I would just say this thing, it's what we are together with Europe trying to explain to the festivals, for the festivals also to understand their role beside just producing the festivals and giving these beautiful moments to the people, that they have the role and they have the power to influence young people, and that they should use this power to do good for the world. And festivals being one of the last major gatherings of people live together, maybe with sports and some other. I think this is also showcasing the importance of the festivals in that aspect, and we will definitely continue to work on this and to rediscover the beauty of the live life.
Amazing. What other things, Dušan, are you doing outside of Life is Live, within the organization? What other great work are you doing? What else is being integrated into the kind of DNA of the company? The artists, the staff, the visitors, sort of like all year round.
What I just said, for us, and I will keep really short because we have two more great panelists here. For us, use the music as the power for positive change is something that is very important. And having in mind also now, I will not go into that with everything that is happening in the Serbia in political arena. It just highlights how important is that. And that is something that is in our DNA and that we will continue to pursue.
Amazing. Such great work. So great to hear all the great work that's been doing.
Good stuff. Holger, we wanted to come to you next, actually. Europe brings together Europe's leading festivals. What trends or initiatives are you seeing amongst your festival members that are trying to better protect the mental well-being of their teams, but also their audiences as well?
I must admit that after all the comments that I wrote on my sheet of paper, this question is way too narrow in its scope. It is because there's so much on my mind at the moment, because there's so many doors have been opened in the past half an hour. So I will touch upon that, but please let me say a couple of words, because the pandemic has been mentioned a couple of times, and during the pandemic, there were in our industry, we could see a couple of things. There's people like Dušan, for example, who's the CEO of a company and had to take care of and had probably loads to do to keep the thing running, while there's people sitting at home who cannot work at the same time. So you have people full on and people without work, anything. Sam mentioned the same, not the same you said you had in 2020, you had the breakdown by then, because you probably cleared for the future. We had another field like, when it comes to festival sustainability, everybody was thinking maybe if we come out of the pandemic, we all have settled down, and maybe then we go out and maybe have less big production, concentrate more on the art, etc., etc. Coming out of the pandemic, production went crazy, even more than before, etc. The same with workload. The same. I had the feeling that at that point we didn't come out, and say, let's create the new normal. That phrase was said a lot of times when we came back in 22. But we didn't create the new normal. For me, the new normal, and for me, this is now Holger, it's not the General Secretary of Europe, it's Holger speaking here. The new normal by then was, we need to get back on business, we need to fulfill this, we need to deal with not enough staff in our business, etc. So there was huge stress coming out of the pandemic. I know that Exit even had a different time, because you guys had a festival in 21, as one of the very few around the globe, and that was a challenge probably no one else can refer to. But so we came out and we had probably more stress than we ever had before. So in the festival scene, we need to look at, and we do that. We look a lot at the artists and the well-being of the artists, because many see that those are selling our tickets, etc. Then there's the audience. We have a lot of and I wouldn't say it's a trend. It is a necessity that we have awareness concepts to create safe spaces for them, to create systems where everybody working at a festival knows what to do if somebody comes up and says, I have a challenge, I've been harassed, or I have a mental breakdown, etc. What happens? Where to go? Who are the experts? Are there experts at hand? What do we do? For me, one thing that is very important and that we still need to concentrate on is, we're looking at the teams, we're looking at the audience, and because we have the responsibilities for them, they are our guests, but who are the hosts? And that's us, and it is still a culture of forgetting ourselves in the context. And that means we need to look at us and our team. And that also, you come here to the younger generations, I still find out that we have this clash of old school work ethic versus a new generation with certain requirements if it comes to work-life balance, etc. And we still need to work on that intensively. And I have not told you about the how do we regulate working conditions within our network of suppliers, safety people, etc. What working hours do they have? How are they paid? That said, I like to focus in my work, if it comes to mental health, on our teams, the people creating the festival, so that these festivals still are able to provide safe spaces for audiences, safe stages for artists. I think that is important. We should not forget that. We're doing this within our Creative Europe Network project, 3F, Future Fit Festival, on various topics like health and safety, like digitalization, like sustainability, etc., but also on topics like diversity, equity, inclusion, and well-being. And there we also have a slight focus on mental health. But this brings me to another point that I would like to say, because our Popular Music Festival stands for a certain set of values, and that is hopefully openness, togetherness, peaceful dialogue, openness to the challenges like climate change, like equity, etc. And there's people in our teams, also young people, working for that. Our artists and maybe also our audience come for that because of these values, not just for the music. They come also because of these values and the experiences around that. They come to our events. And in the world we're living in right now, we have these values at jeopardy, that there's a politician somewhere very powerful also who skip out of the Paris Agreement, who force big corporations to drop out of their DEI programs, etc., etc. And that is the stuff that we as festivals stand for. That is basically also climate action, European Green Deal, diversity and inclusion, which are the core topics which are in every Creative Europe call, for example, that we apply to. And we see that these topics are criticized very much, and this is in discussion in the society, etc. And that has an effect on our young workers, not just on our young team members, me as well, and also on the people going to our festivals, etc. It is not just a festival thing. I think it's a society thing that probably like half of the society feels that these set of values might be eroded, and that for me is a huge topic. Besides what Dušan just said, that will put a lot of pressure on the mental health issue. And here festivals can help, and maybe that will be my last sentence, that because that are these magical moments that if you go to a festival, Dušan said the video is more important than the experience, but you can't have the video without the experience. And you will make the experience. If you're there, you will experience something, you will take something home. And that for decades already people do that. I know, for example, people here, one of the guys who runs the Erasmus agency in Germany, he's been a volunteer at Roskilde Festival that changed his life. He's talking about these emotions if he's talking about festivals. And we have the same, probably, Sam, Dušan, Greg, Jen at least, probably the other two. These are life-changing opportunities if you do that at festivals, and I think we need to cherish it because it might help people if it comes to identification and also mental health.
I love it. You can't have the video without the experience. I'm taking that away. We don't have an enormous amount of time left, so I'm very proudly going to hand over to Stanislava to let's talk a little bit about the work that UNICEF is doing. UNICEF has long worked on youth mental health and resilience, and I'd love to talk about what are some of the actions that have been taken in regards in Europe and Serbia, and what are the latest findings in this field?
Thank you. I would like to be brief, so I'm going to speed up a bit. I think that the newest data are telling us the story that anxiety and depression with young people rose by 20% after COVID. That we have suicide is the second cause of death in young people. Mental health of young people is poor and it is declining. So we have to deal with consequences, and consequences are big. They are lifetime consequences on mental health, educational, occupational outcomes. So why it is happening? It is, of course, connected with increases. It increases over time with parental emotional problems, with youth weight control behaviors, eating disorders, school-related stress, as well as in rise in family poverty and social inequalities in the 21st century. There are societal pressures that some of the guests were mentioning, and this is connected as well with social media pressure. And this stress regarding societal expectations is more impacting young girls, who often report higher level of perfectionism and fear of failure compared to boys. So I think that to tackle this crisis, European Commission is putting mental health on par with physical health by introducing 20 flagship initiatives and 1.23 billion in funding from different financial instruments. So this is good that we have European Commission to partner with, which we surely did in UNICEF. So we are supporting EU member states in improving child and adolescent mental health and well-being through one initiative, which is called Promoting Comprehensive Prevention-Oriented Approach to Children's Health. And just today, on this very important day, we had the first policy dialogue on mental health with many EU member states participating. So we are working with them to promote healthy lifestyles, early childhood development and intervention, immunization, protection of children from aggressive promotion of harmful products such as nicotine, alcohol, and unhealthy food, and the promotion of good mental health. Countries will be in the position to learn from one another, and we are also developing a toolkit which will be web-based, good for policymakers. So I wanted to say that UNICEF continues to scale its operation not only in Serbia and in Europe, but globally. And 66.1 million children and caregivers accessed UNICEF mental health support in 2024. So 130 countries integrated mental health and psychosocial activities. It has to be multisectoral, it has to be holistic, it has to be everywhere, and festivals are very good opportunities for promotion of positive coping strategies, which you have mentioned. So connections with other people, physical activities, sports, routine, asking for help, recognizing red flags. So we have to check ourselves and we have to teach our audience how to do it. So this is why together with other ministries, different ministries, we have been working on development of intersectoral collaboration even here in Serbia. And we are working with professionals who are working in education, health, social welfare. We are capacitating them to recognize those red flags and to support, to give better innovative interventions, because young people are changing. We are learning with them. We are inviting them to help us. So our program has started in 2021, and every year we have another mental health awareness campaign. And also today, it is very important days for us in Serbia, because we have launched a campaign which is called "You Are Not Bad, You're Just Feeling Bad." So we know that some of young people, they have very bad identity. They are not that self-aware. They think that they are the one to blame for this and that. So we are trying to encourage them to say, okay, this is maybe a bad day, but talk to others, talk to your school psychologist, talk to your teacher, talk to your best friend, and you will get the support. Because yeah, we cannot postpone asking for help, because problems are just piling up, as a colleague on this panel very openly talked about. So I'm very grateful for the openness, and I'm very grateful for making the communication highway with young people on the festival. So we can have it, we can do it together, and let's make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I think that's it, is we need to open the conversation, drop the stigma, let everyone know it's okay not to be okay, and it's all right to put your hand up and say, I'm struggling or I need some help. And it's important, as Sam said, to kind of build a team around you and have a network around you. If you're struggling, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's all right to not be perfect every single day. And I think the more we as organizations and as human beings can have these conversations, hopefully the more and more people will put their hand up and reach for help. I think back to Sam's point, a lot of people really don't know how and where to get help if needed. One of the reasons that I launched my initiative Get Ahead years ago for the music industry was because there were so many people struggling who had no idea how or where to get help. So to create this umbrella organization to bring together the people, the charities, the brands who were all active in their own rights, and to create this kind of bigger centralized community to help people, to help celebrate life, because life is to be celebrated, and to bring those people together to share and listen and learn. And I think what we're hearing from everyone here together today is how important that is, to come together as communities to share, to listen, to learn, and to support one another. There are a lot of resources on the IQ website. If we could also on the Exit website, there's a lot of information about the Life is Live campaign. If anyone wants to drop any of their details in the chat, you can as well. I mean, just to kind of wrap things up today, I mean, we need to bring stronger partnerships between the industries, institutions, policymakers, you know, share the responsibility together. So bringing, you know, people from all over the world together in this conversation together is so important, and it's very, very important today. And, you know, what's clear is that music can do more than entertain. It heals, it connects, you know, it inspires us. Greg, do you want to say any finishing words?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I think it's just as well as talking about it on what is a really sort of seminal day on this topic. I think it's important to keep that dialogue alive and active throughout the year, you know, as part of a broader movement towards a conscious and compassionate culture. And we're run over, and it feels like we've barely scratched the surface today. So we're going to have to wrap it up. But obviously, just want to say a huge thank you to all of our guest speakers today for taking the time to talk to us. I hope everybody listening has found it really useful, watching has found it really useful. Please do visit the Life is Live website if you need, and make sure that, you know, if you are struggling in any way, then please reach out. That's it. I think we're going to wrap it up there. But thanks again, and you know, thanks very much for everyone for watching.
Definitely. And thank you to Exit for facilitating this conversation, and all of our wonderful partners for joining us today. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. We'll
Thank you so
continue.
much. Thank you.
That's the beginning.
It is the beginning.